What's this? A new Solid Signal podcast? And it's been just a few months since I said I was never going to do another one. Well, actually, I kind of didn't say I was never going to do another one. I said I wasn't going to do another one for a while. And this, on the occasion of the Consumer Electronics Show, seemed like a good time to go back to my roots and deliver another Solid Signal podcast. You know, I'm off to the Consumer Electronics Show. This is, I think, my 7th or 8th one, and you really get a big kind of perspective on it when you go multiple years. You tend to think vertically. Oh, well, such and such was in this booth this year, and they've gotten a little bigger, or they've gotten a little smaller. Gives you a whole different sense of history, which is important because, as I'm going to explain, while it might be a very exciting consumer electronics show for your Solid Signal customers, it may not be the most interesting one for the general public. Let's get right into the stuff that you need to know. Wilson Electronics has been teasing some very big news via email for about a month or so. It's going to be very exciting, and probably by the time you hear this podcast, you'll be able to read all about it. But let me tell you, this is good stuff, folks, and it tells me that 2015 is going to be the best year ever for cellular boosters. When it comes to satellite, everything old is new again, which is to say that DirecTV doesn't have a whole lot to show, just like they have not had a whole lot to show for the last 6 years. And Dish is taking the opportunity to grab the spotlight this year with a 4K Joey system and a new touch-enabled remote that looks a lot like their touch-enabled remote from 2009 that they never delivered. And they're adding Vivo and a whole new interface to that 4K unit. They've got a lot to talk about, and I can't wait to get out on the floor, take a bunch of pictures, and post them up for you. I'm also hoping that I'm going to be able to meet with some of our other vendors to show you a new line of radios and antennas and a couple of the other things that we like to feature at solidsignal.com. Probably not a lot in the digital signage arena because they've got their own trade show that comes up in the summer. But if you're a Solid Signal customer, rest assured there is going to be a lot to be excited about at this Consumer Electronics Show. Now, of course, most of you are Solid Signal customers, and I want to take a moment and thank you for that. But let's talk a little bit more about the general public and their perception of the Consumer Electronics Show. There was a time that CES was the hands-down place to be. CES in the 2000s was really all about big televisions. It was all about high definition. And that's all right, except that when you look at it, as I have the last 7 or 8 years, you see that the Consumer Electronics Show has not had a hit since. They really haven't had a win since they started really pushing big televisions, and they're still pushing big televisions. On the other hand, they've had a string of misses, just super high profile stuff. Does anybody remember those Microsoft Plays for Sure media players that were going to kill the iPod? Or the Zune that was going to kill the iPod? Or the creative media players that were going to kill the iPod? None of those killed the iPod. The iPod killed them. Does anybody remember the portable XM radio that was released in 2006 that was going to change the world? Yeah, I didn't think so either. What about Windows Vista? What about what Microsoft called its Surface Touch-enabled table? That's right, their idea of how to do touch was to put it on a table. Not a tablet, a table, like the size of your coffee table. This is the kind of stuff that CES has been famous for. In recent days, you can add 3D television and probably curved television to that list of high-profile failures from the Consumer Electronics Show. And it's a shame, too, because here's an opportunity for companies to really showcase that stuff that you want to see. But let's face facts. Nobody wanted that app-enabled washing machine that Samsung was showing last year, and sure, the gigantic television got some press for a day or two, but it's not in everybody's homes, and it's not likely to be for a very long time. The Consumer Electronics Show is really just a way to grab the public's imagination now for a couple of days. Everybody sends a reporter, and that's okay. But it hasn't been the hotbed of innovation that it once was. Now, for those of us who meet up with our business contacts at the Consumer Electronics Show to really do business, it's still a great show. But in order to do that, we have to get behind the pomp and circumstance, go behind the scenes and really get to the stuff that's important. And we could do most of that over the phone. It's just a nice way for all of us to get together and actually shake hands with each other. A lot of the business that's done is done in hospitality suites these days, and it's all stuff the public doesn't see. I'm hoping to see something this year from the Consumer Electronics Show, but I'll be honest with you, I don't expect it. What I do expect is to have a good time, to meet a lot of people that I've known for a lot of years and get caught up with them. And also to bring back a whole bunch of new product announcements for solidsignal.com because, after all, that's what it's really about. I'll be reporting from the show floor this year, just as I have every year since 2007. And I look forward to giving you the good stuff. I look forward to hearing your comments. Oh, and one other thing. If you like this podcast, if you want me to bring it back, if it is important to you, do me a favor and leave a comment somewhere on our Facebook page, Twitter feed, Google Plus page for the 3 or 4 of you who actually use that. Right at the Solid Signal blog, on our YouTube page. Plenty of places to comment, but if you want me to bring it back, you've got to tell me. My friends, it's been a pleasure doing this podcast for you, and I look forward to hearing your comments.